One of the worst feelings in Dynasty Fantasy Football is when you hold a player just 1 year too long and they crater in value on your roster. So today, I'm bringing you guys 5 veterans who I think may never be worth more than they are today, and different methods of how to ship them off of your team. By the time the 2026 season starts, some of these guys may have already dipped in value, and we want to figure out how we can get them off your roster before that happens. So without further ado, I'm John, you're watching John Talks Ball, and let's get into it. Alright, so for the first sell of today's video, we're going to be talking about Josh Jacobs, running back of the Green Bay Packers, and those who have been subscribed to the channel for a little while now are going to know I have not liked the price on Josh Jacobs in a long time. Josh Jacobs turned 28 in February and is set to be 29 years old following the end of the 2026 season. His year on paper in 2025 looked very strong, 14 total touchdowns and over 1,200 scrimmage yards, but we did see a major dip in efficiency for Jacobs. His yards per carry dropped down to 4.0 in 2025, down from the 4.4 it was in his first year in Green Bay, and he dealt with a variety of lower body injuries, including the calf, the knee, and ankle issues, missing 2 games throughout that season. This is the exact type of injury profile, the lower body problems. Everything in this profile stacks and ends up being what turns an RB into a pile of dust in terms of dynasty value. We saw this happen recently with Joe Mixon, although there is a little bit of mystery surrounding that scenario. But overall, Jacobs is a guy that you can sell right now for a pretty strong return, which we'll be looking at in a second, and just a guy I don't really want to be holding on my dynasty roster going into 2026. If you really feel insistent on holding Jacobs, if he starts producing early in 2026, I would be looking to sell him pretty much immediately. If you sell all these running backs just immediately once they turn 28, it's pretty much shown that you can just get profit every single time. Not many RBs get to survive that age cliff, and if they do, they typically need some kind of special talent, like McCaffrey's receiving ability, or Saquon's breakaway ability, or just Derrick Henry being Derrick Henry. I just don't think Josh Jacobs fits into that category, and that's why I will be looking at him as a sell. So let's look at some deals that you could use to pick up Josh Jacobs on your dynasty team. Josh Jacobs here on dynastydaddy.com. I can see that he was sold for a 2027 first straight up this morning. That is a no-brainer to me. A 2027 first is going to grow in value until you make that selection, and Jacobs, I just feel like, is not the kind of asset I want to carry into 2026. He's going to be injury prone as he continues to go up in age, and is just becoming less and less efficient as a runner. This is going to be a 2027 first, and it's not particularly close. Next up, we have a deal that packages Hunter Henry, Josh Jacobs, Rashid Shaheed, and Zach Charbonnet into Omarion Hampton. Now, this is what I call a true keep trade cut trade, where you just put together a bunch of assets that don't have much dynasty value into something that does matter. So we see Hunter Henry, he's getting older, he's not going to be around forever. Rashid Shaheed, we really just don't have any room in that Seattle offense for anyone except Jackson Smith and Jigba. Zach Charbonnet coming off a torn ACL, who I am just not a fan of at price right now, and Josh Jacobs, all packaged to receive the young running back Omarion Hampton on an offense that's set to be very strong in 2026. This one also feels like a no-brainer to me. You might lose the deal on Keep Trade Cuts value charts, but at the end of the day, you are insulating more into a first-round running back on a good offense in 2026. Easy deal to get off of the aging Josh Jacobs. Let's move into our second sell of today's video. So the second sell of today's video is going to be Devontae Smith, wide receiver of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I kind of just feel like people are handling this Eagles situation wrong as a whole. People are already pricing Devontae Smith as if AJ Brown is gone, and he's going to be some kind of alpha wide receiver 1 in that offense, going overall at player 54 on Keep Trade Cut. Devontae Smith, I mean, there's no guarantee that AJ Brown leaves town. We do feel like it's almost a lock that AJ Brown is going to be a Patriot, but until the deal is done, Devontae Smith is still the second receiving option on that team, with Mekhi Lemon already nipping at his heels, picked 20th overall in the NFL draft. People are pricing in the upside of Devontae Smith without even considering the fact that there could be a very, very major downside. If Mekhi Lemon just comes in and dwarfs Devontae Smith, this is a very real possibility, considering the type of player Mekhi Lemon is, a high target type of guy who gets open over the middle of the field. If AJ Brown doesn't leave the team, then we have a whole new problem with Devontae Smith. He's just a guy that you can sell right now, pretty much already at the price as if he was in a perfect situation, kind of a no-brainer when you end up seeing some of the prices people are getting for Smith on the market. He's also not a young guy at all, turns 28 in November of this season. That's going to be just around the same age as T. Higgins is right now. This is a guy I'd be looking to sell, and it's really not at all close to being a buy here. So let's look at some of the deals that you can get done to get Devontae Smith off of your roster. So the first deal I saw on the Dynasty Daddy trade database is going to be Devontae Smith, traded for a 2027 first and a 2028 third. If you're watching this far into the video, you already know how I feel about 2027 firsts. They are already being treated as gold, not only in general, but by the Dynasty community as a whole. People are holding on to their 2027 firsts for dear life in certain leagues. So to get that and a 2028 third for the future 28-year-old Devontae Smith is kind of a no-brainer to me. Those 2027 firsts are just already looking amazing. And by the time that you can make that selection, Devontae Smith is already going to be on a value decline. The other deal I saw that I would use to move off of Devontae Smith is going to be Devontae Smith and a third-round pick late in this year's class, traded for Marvin Harrison Jr. I know that Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't exactly been what we wanted, but being able to trade the future 28-year-old Devontae Smith for a young wide receiver like Marvin Harrison with this much upside is just another no-brainer to me. Like, genuinely, what are we doing in this trade? Marvin Harrison has 4+ years of age on Devontae Smith. Yes, the quarterback situation in Arizona is a bit more unstable, but that is something we could see solved as soon as next offseason. This is a no-brainer on the Marvin Harrison Jr. side. Just smash it and move on, and we will take a look at our third sell of the day. So our third sell of today's video is going to be Joe Burrow, quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, and I have him profiled as a soft sell. Joe Burrow is not going to be going anywhere, unlike the first two guys in the video, who I think it's best to get out of immediately. Joe Burrow here is just going to be a guy I would be shopping around in your league to see what return you could be getting. Joe Burrow is about to turn 30 years old in season. The defense is improved for the Bengals, which I think means we're going to see a little bit less passing volume for Joe Burrow. No team wants their quarterback to be slinging the ball 40 times a game. That's just not good for your quarterback's health, and we know that because Joe Burrow has barely ever finished a season healthy. Realistically, the Bengals are going to want to be a bit more balanced, regardless of who their wide receivers are, and Joe Burrow is being valued next to rushing quarterbacks who provide much more fantasy upside for your team. If Joe Burrow's passing volume regresses in any way, there's just not going to be too much of a difference between him, the Brock Purdy's, and the Justin Herberts of the world in terms of fantasy scoring. So I think he's certainly a guy you should look into shopping. If your league mates are offering you young elite players, I think that's definitely something you should consider, and we will see a little bit more of that when we look into these deals on dynastydaddy.com. So the first deal I spotted that would be nice to move off of Joe Burrow was Joe Burrow in exchange for Malik Neighbors and a 2027 first. In the idea of not just repeating myself over and over, you guys know that buying 2027 first is just going to be a great move for your dynasty team. And then you have the tier down from Joe Burrow to Malik Neighbors. There just isn't really much opportunity to buy a Malik Neighbors type of asset. Malik Neighbors is only going to be 23 years old into 2026, still just as young as some of the rookies coming in this year's class. He's just a guy I'm buying everywhere, and if you can get off of Joe Burrow for a Malik Neighbors plus a 2027 first, that is a no-brainer to me. The second deal we're going to look at to move off of Joe Burrow is going to be Joe Burrow being moved into a package of Jared Goff and two 2028 first-round picks. I just don't think there's many players in Dynasty at all that are worth holding when you're being offered 3 first-round picks. I would prefer if these selections were in 2027. It's kind of weirder to trade for picks that are that far out. However, the value here is correct. Jared Goff is actually not as much older than Joe Burrow as you might think. He's only going to be about a year and a half older, and he's going to be on an NFL team until he chooses to hang up the cleats. And those two 2028 firsts are just really nice extra sweeteners. As I mentioned, if we see Joe Burrow's production regress even a little bit down to, let's say, 32 passing attempts per game, the numbers between him and Goff are actually going to be shockingly similar. This is just a tier down that's going to help insulate your roster's value as those picks get more and more valuable. So I would be shopping Joe Burrow in your leagues and seeing what kind of returns you can get on the market. So before we get into the next sell of the day, I wanted to take a moment to mention the John Talks Ball community Discord. You're going to get free access to Dynasty advice via myself, covering a lot of things I'm not going to be able to cover on the YouTube. You're going to be able to ask in advance questions for the YouTube videos, and I'm currently doing free roster breakdowns for the first few people to pop on the Discord. We have a really fun community growing over there, and you're just going to be able to get free advice from me if you enjoy the content you see here on the YouTube, so I'm hoping to see you guys there soon. Let's move into our fourth sell of today's video. So our fourth sell of today's video, I believe definitely fits the getting out 1 year before it's too late. I think this is likely the last opportunity you're going to have to sell Davante Adams. Davante Adams is 33 years old, and Matt Stafford just signed a $55 million extension to remain the Rams quarterback into the next few years. Adams just put up a 14 receiving touchdown season in 2025, his second highest touchdown total in his 13-year career. He looked meh at best throughout the regular season and was pretty much inefficient everywhere except inside the 5-yard line. Quite a funny season from Davante Adams. His dynasty value is sitting at player 128 on Keep Trade Cut. That means he's next to some names that still carry good dynasty value, and we just know that selling wide receivers after they turn 32 typically is a good bet. Adams is not going to burn you for selling him, and now is a great time to get out of him for the upside of a different asset. Managers are going to be buying the hype of the 2026 Rams offense, and it's just time to move off of this veteran when you can get something much, much more valuable in exchange. So let's take a look at some of the deals you can use to get Davante Adams off your roster. So the first deal I spotted to get Davante Adams off of your roster is going to be Tyler Shuck in exchange for Davante Adams and a 2027 second. I know a lot of creators on the YouTube platform are talking about how Tyler Shuck has a very, very strong passing yards line from Las Vegas. Tyler Shuck is in the Kellen Moore offense in New Orleans, which is just a very pass-heavy offense, and I think that Tyler Shuck could be lined up for a very strong year where he proves he is the guy for the next few years, or at least for the duration of his rookie contract. When you can get that kind of guy in exchange for Davante Adams and a rookie second round pick in the future, that is a no-brainer to me. Quarterbacks in Superflex should be far more value than this, but I think Tyler Shuck might be a sneaky buy right now, and Davante Adams is a clear sell to me, which is why I would most certainly be making this deal and taking the Tyler Shuck side. Another deal I spotted to get rid of Davante Adams is similar to the deal we saw to get off of Josh Jacobs, and funny enough, Josh Jacobs actually makes an appearance in this deal as well, where we see Josh Jacobs, Malik Willis, Davante Adams, Derrick Henry, and Courtland Sutton all packaged together to receive a 2027 first and the 101 in this year's class, aka Jeremiah Love. This is another one of those examples of a keep trade cut trade. Oh, goodness, I just punched my microphone. Where you see a bunch of assets that are not exactly strong dynasty assets put together to get something that is actually valuable. It's side B here by just so much that it's almost hard to articulate. Josh Jacobs, Malik Willis, Davante Adams, Derrick Henry, and Courtland Sutton. I would not be shocked if in 2 years, none of those players are still starting in the NFL. A 2027 first is just going to grow in value, as we mentioned before, and Jeremiah Love is a 20-year-old running back prospect with immense upside. This is another no-brainer to me. You might lose this one on paper, you might get clowned by your league mates for moving on from these types of players, but in the long run, this is a deal that the pick side certainly wins. Now let's move on to our final sell of today's video. So the final sell of today's video is going to be Christian Watson, wide receiver of the Green Bay Packers. I understand it says Rams there now. It appears I forgot to change that before recording the video. So Christian Watson, still a Green Bay Packer, is going to be a sell because people are doing a lot of projection about his upcoming season. He's going into his 5th season in the NFL, and unless we see a super rare 5th-year breakout from Christian Watson where he completely changes the type of player he is, I just don't think that he's going to be what people want him to be for fantasy football. He's not a heavy reception wide receiver. He doesn't exactly earn targets. And overall, he's just being treated as the wide receiver 1 in this offense, and I just don't think that's the case. We're more than likely just going to be seeing players get the ball spread out again in that Packers offense, and Tucker Kraft is more than likely going to be the true winner of that receiving room rather than a guy like Christian Watson. So the price you can get off of Watson for right now on the market is just something I would be using to move off of him. So the first deal I spotted to move off of Christian Watson on the Dynasty Daddy trade database was pairing Deshaun Watson and Christian Watson to receive a 2028 first. This one does require a little bit of patience, but with the profiles of these two guys, it's just going to be the 2028 first here by a lot. Hopefully you can do this in a league where you're guaranteed that it'll stick around for a bit longer, but when it comes time that it's 2028, I doubt that either of these players are worth up to a 2028 first, so with a little bit of patience, that side of the deal will win by a lot. The second deal here is just really, really crazy, and it makes me think that Ted McMillan is actually worth a buy look in the near future. It's going to be Jonathan Brooks packaged with Christian Watson to receive Ted McMillan. I don't understand this one at all. Ted McMillan has elite draft capital and has true target earning ability on an offense where he's pretty much the primary target with no competition. Ted McMillan is just super undervalued on the market right now, and if you can package together Jonathan Brooks and Christian Watson to receive him, that is an absolute no-brainer there. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video where I covered 5 veteran players you should be looking to move off of sooner rather than later. I can't predict the future, but these players have certainly been giving us indicators that they might be in for a value trough in 2026. So if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, comment down below what you think of these takes, and subscribe to the channel for more Dynasty Fantasy Football content. If you're looking for more from me, the John Talks Ball Community Discord is linked down below in the description. I would love to see you there, and as always, have a great day.